and thank you for joining us today for this episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. People like me, Michelle Kane with Voice Matters, and my wonderful co host, Karen Swim of Solo PR Pro. Hey, Karen, how are you doing today?
Hey, Michelle. I am doing fantastic. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, not bad for a holiday because I'm not working today. Haha. When this episode hits, it will be Memorial Day. And we definitely want to thank um, you know, just have a moment. It's a somber holiday, actually. Just have a moment for all the fallen who truly sacrificed everything for us and how we're very fortunate that it gives us time to sit here and talk shop and giggle and all the other things of life. But we hope if you're listening to this on your holiday that this, well, I don't know, that this is the only worky thing that your brain is touching today.
I hope so too. And whenever you listen, even if it's past the Memorial holiday, we completely appreciate you. And while we honor our fallen heroes on this day, we also salute everyone who has served. We appreciate
Yep,
you.
absolutely. So let's get to it.
Yeah.
Today, today it's an exciting topic. Well, they all are, right? Today we're going to talk about why the moment is now and why we as solo PR pros are uniquely positioned to get some new business. And I don't want to sound too gleeful about that because, larger companies are shedding jobs, which we never want to see for anybody. But I think as a solo, I don't know, raise your hand if that's how you became a solo. So, um, it happens in cycles and downturns, and no one welcomes it per se, but um, it does present unique opportunities for those of us who are seasoned and senior and can really dig in and help clients get things done.
Yeah, I think also there's some articles out there that I think PR Week wrote about
Hmm.
this, that brands that have been locked into big agency retainers are also, kind of looking around and asking who is actually doing their work.
Yeah.
I always feel like I have to preface this because we are not a competitor to big brand agencies,
No.
and we never want to bash them
No.
because they truly serve an important purpose in this industry. Sometimes your account really needs a global agency, it needs a big brand. However, what I've seen in my own experience over the years is that for really large companies, having a global agency plus having smaller agencies can truly be the secret sauce to success because you
Yeah.
can focus them on different things and their efforts can align and work together really well. And I've actually been that person that's brought in bigger brands to work on accounts. So it doesn't have to be an either or, but
Right.
I think that the bigger takeaway from that is, um, when you're pitching yourself to clients, helping them to understand how your agency is structured and how the work is getting done is important. It's important, like for our agency, we're all senior led professionals, and we always say, we've been asked this, like, who does the work? We do. Like, there's
Mhm.
no handoff. The people that you're talking to, the people that you're meeting with are the people who actually are doing the actual work and are accountable for that work. So
Mhm.
if that's your story, be sure to tell that story. And I would say that even if that's not your story and you are the strategic lead and you're not going to be doing the hands-on work, clients do want to meet the people and know who's behind the work and understand that transparency. So I think be ready to tell your story and own it. How does work get
Yeah.
done in your company?
Yeah. I think that's so true. And, and it does appear to be trending that way. You know, your industry decision makers, the people you're working with, they're looking for things like consistency. Well, if it's always us, that's consistent. Senior access, because let's face it, we want that same senior access with our clients, right? So it's almost a peer to peer situation. you're both been around a while in business. You know what's up. No one's really on so much of a learning curve in that space. And speed. No
Yeah.
one pivots like a solo. And, and also with the direct access, it's not like you're tossing it down several chains of command and, which takes, you need more lead time, of course, because it's probably more on people's plates and, that can be perceived as slowness. And I'm never a fan of, I know I've in the past I've said to contacts, do you want it now or do you want it right? We don't mean to sacrifice quality, but as a smaller business, we are able to, I think, be far more efficient.
Absolutely. There's not any fluff in what we do, right? And I
Right.
think that that's a selling point. I love that you called out the peer-to-peer aspect because
Mm,
I think that for many solos, when you step off of that corporate treadmill and you go into business for yourself, that's one thing that sometimes it can take a little bit of time to settle in, thinking of yourself as the executive of your company. Um, and not just, adding the title founder or CEO, but really stepping into that role with confidence and understanding that when you're dealing with clients, it is a business to business relationship. You're a business, they're a business. You are not their employee.
right.
Um, they sometimes we can shrink our right, and we can dim our light and put ourselves back into that, subservient role as though they're our boss,
Yeah,
and they're not.
right.
They are hiring you for your expertise and advice, and you are an executive. And so I like that you said that. It's a good reminder.
Yeah, well, it's because I need to remind myself so often because, I'm depending on the size of the company, our peer CEOs come with all the trappings of the job, the large building, the assistants, the team, the people, and, here we are. We just put on pants for the day.
Or skirts
And
or dresses
yeah,
or
exactly,
shorts.
and,
I mean, whatever your jam is.
yeah, and especially because I know one of my local chambers, they have what they call owners events, where if you're the owner and the lead of the company, you're invited, and, I'm in that room, and I sit there and I'm like, "Heck yeah, I am. How about it?" So it's a lot of it is that mental mind shift, which is, it for me,
Yeah,
it's not one and done, it's a constant reminder because, service is our product, so yeah, it's definitely something we
yeah,
have to, um, consistently work on. But here's the exciting thing, how can you start to use this concept in your business development, right?
yeah,
Um, one way is check your LinkedIn profile or check how you talk about yourself on your website or everything you put out, your email signature. In fact, I'll look at mine after this. Lean into that get direct access with a seasoned professional, senior led business.
yeah.
Um, develop a few talking points, hone your elevator pitch to reflect those selling points.
Yeah, and here's another tip. We do this for clients, and I was reminded that I wasn't doing this for myself. So I
Mhm.
want to pass that on because whenever I learn something, I'm excited to share it in case somebody else out there is like me.
Yeah.
We, solos, I believe, are pretty savvy about GEO, Generative
Yeah.
Engine Optimization. When you are writing your bio for your website or writing the language on your site or talking about your company, consider optimizing it for GEO because think about the questions that people type when they're looking. So you need to put those questions right in your
Mhm.
site. Um, you're a, $500 million company who is looking for on the ground, creative, senior led PR support. That was really clunky, but you get my meaning.
Mhm.
Like you put the questions as part of your copy that people are actually searching for because I do think it's important to not just, sometimes we're like, oh, do thought leadership, I'll do referrals, but you've got to push all the buttons.
Yeah.
And that means getting yourself surfaced in visibility, because we know for a fact that it's not just the e-commerce world where people are shopping through multiple platforms and channels. People are shopping for services through multiple channels
Mhm.
and platforms too. So it's not just getting a name from somebody or going into a group and asking for a referral. Sometimes it is asking Claude, like, who is the PR agency in this area that does this, or who is really good at that. So people are there's different touch points. So you want to optimize your own marketing efforts in the same way that we would advise our clients to do that. And that's, again, I am the first to raise my hand and say, yeah, I've been bad about that. But when it was called to my attention, I'm like, yeah, good point. And I want to pass that along,
Yeah,
because we all want to, up level our business development, particularly in the season when um, it's harder and longer to close
yeah,
business. Not impossible, but it just takes more work.
definitely, definitely, and I'm guilty the same way. We so often get stuck in not stuck, but, we're doing the work, and we put working on ourselves in the back burner, and even expressing all the things we're capable of doing gets overshadowed by focusing on the things we are doing. So, we hope this has been a dash of inspiration to you. And, if it is, please do share it around. Hit us up with some reviews because that would really help us too. We're not only working on our own businesses, but we're working on helping that solo life help even more people. So you can be a part of that. Um, so until next time, thank you for listening to That Solo Life.